There is a story told about how on a St. Patrick's Day many years ago, a man was walking home after the St. Patrick's Day parade, and he was very inebriated, very drunk, and he fell asleep along the roadside. And a concerned passerby, a good Samaritan if you like, came along, waked him from his sleep and offered to help him. When the man came to, and a little bit more alert, he announced to the good Samaritan, "I am suffering sorely now because of the same Patrick." What Patrick meant to this man, we do not know. Patrick means different things to different people. The passage of time means that different traditions, different myths and different beliefs have grown up around him. What's the essential Patrick then? Did he exist? Clearly yes, for we have his own two personal writings, his confession and his letter to Coroticus. What are some of the significant things we can know about Patrick? Tradition tells us that he was born in the early years of the 5th century AD in what was then the Roman colony of Britain, possibly in the area of present-day Wales. In his confession, Patrick tells us, "I am Patrick, a sinner, the most unlearned of men, the lowliest of all the faithful, utterly worthless in the eyes of many." In his youth, Patrick's faith did not seem to mean much to him. As a teenager, at the age of 16 years, he was taken captive to Ireland and was enslaved for 6 years, tending sheep on Slieve Mish. During his time, in the language of today, he confronted his own demons and developed a deep faith in God. Then he managed to escape back home, but he heard the voice of the Irish calling him to come back and help establish the Christian faith. On becoming a priest and a bishop, believed to be about 430 AD, he came back to Ireland and went back to the endeavour to spread the Christian faith. At first, he was not very successful, but he persevered, and as they say, in the best of circles, the rest is history. In time, he made his mark. I believe it is fair to say there were already Christians in Ireland before him, but Patrick spread and consolidated the faith in many parts of the country. Just think of some of the place names associated with him. Crowpatrick, for example, Lochderg and Downpatrick, to mention just a few. As a further testimony to Patrick's life and mission, think of the many churches, schools, holy wells, holy mountains that are dedicated to his memory. Various dates compete for accuracy regarding his death. 461, 480, 491. You have a choice, take your pick. Does Patrick have a message or relevance for us and for our time? Yes, several messages in fact. Firstly, he was a slave, an immigrant in a foreign land for 6 years. So how do we, the people of this time, treat those who are immigrants in our land? Is it with dignity or direct provision, or what? Secondly, Patrick came back to Ireland as a man of faith, and so we ask ourselves, how is my faith, your faith today? Do I need to reconnect as Patrick did during his sojourn on Slieve Mish? Maybe my faith has grown dim, grown weaker, or become irrelevant to me, or maybe it's strong. So where are we on that question? Thirdly, the Second Vatican Council reminded us that the Church is missionary by her very nature. In this part of the world, the Christian community has become very settled. The maintenance model, if you like, predominates. Surely It is time for a new putting out into the deep, in the words of Duck and Autumn, for a fresh harvesting. Patrick made a huge personal difference. His presence and inspiration is still with us. It has encouraged generations of women and men to leave family, home and homeland, to go and share the joy and the good news of the gospel with people to the ends of the earth, as Jesus commanded. And now I conclude with some parts of St. Patrick's breastplate. I arise today through God's strength to pilot me, God's might to uphold me, God's wisdom to guide me, God's eyes to look before me, God's ear to hear me, God's word to speak for me, God's hand to guard me, God's shield to protect me, God's host to save me from the snares of devils, from temptation of vices, from everyone who shall wish me ill, afar or near. Christ be with me, Christ be before me, Christ be behind me, Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on my right, Christ on my left, Christ when I lie down, Christ when I sit down, Christ when I arise, Christ in the heart of every man who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of everyone who speaks of me, Christ in every day, an eye that sees, Christ in every ear that hears,